Okay, this is again from Externalization of the Hierarchy. I am taking a lot out of this book, searching for quotes. But one thing that was very, very revealing is her section on steps towards a new world order. So you can see, I researched the hell out of this book years ago. But anyways, starting on page 190. Steps towards the New World Order, page 190. In contradistinction to the totalitarian world order, what should the rest of the world plan? Towards what world objectives should the democracies work? Utopian schemes, idealistic forms of government, and cultural living processes have ever been the playthings of the human mind down through the centuries. But these utopias have been so far ahead of possibility that their presentation seems useless. They are, most of them, wholly impractical. Certain immediate possibilities and attainable objectives can, however, be worked out, given a definite will to good and patience on the part of humanity. Certain major and spiritual premises should lie back of all efforts to formulate the New World Order. Let me state some of them. 1. The New World Order must meet the immediate need and not be an attempt to satisfy some distant idealistic vision. 2. The New World Order must be appropriate to a world which has passed through a destructive crisis, and to a humanity which is badly shattered by the experience. Order out of chaos. 3. The New World Order must lay the foundation for a future world order, which will be possible only after a time of recovery, reconstruction, and of rebuilding. 4. The New World Order will be founded on the recognition that all men are equal in origin and goal, but that all are at differing stages of evolutionary development. Yeah. It's going to be a great utopia, isn't it? Sounds great to me. That personal integrity, intelligence, vision, and experience, plus a marked goodwill, should indicate leadership. Yep, there'll only be two classes. Rulers, the Society of Illumined Minds, working behind the veil of some fake jackass messiah figure. And us, the masses, the slaves. The little children of the New Atlantis. The domination of the proletariat over the aristocracy and the bourgeoisie, as in Russia, or the domination of an entrenched aristocracy over the proletariat middle class has been, until lately, the case in Great Britain, must disappear. The control of labor by capital, or the control of capital by labor, must also go. So it'll be in the control of the Illuminati. In the New World Order, the governing body in any nation should be composed of those who work for the greatest good of the greatest number and who at the same time offer opportunity to all, seeing to it that the individual is left free. Today the men of vision are achieving recognition, thus making possible a right choice of leaders. It was not possible until this century. Number 6. The New World Order will be founded on an active sense of responsibility. Carefully listen to the language, then go compare it with humanists and socialists. The rule will be all for one and one for all. This attitude among nations will have to be developed that is not yet present. Individual private property, individual free markets, and all that other stuff will disappear, according to the vision of Alice Bailey. 7. The New World Order will not impose a uniform type of government as synthetic religion and a system of standardization upon the nations. The sovereign rights of each nation will be recognized, and its peculiar genius, individual trends, and racial qualities will be permitted full expression. In one particular only should there be an attempt to produce unity, and that will be in the field of education. But hey, number 7 gets kind of thrown out the window with this next one. Number 8, the New World Order will recognize that the produce of the world, the natural resources of the planet and its riches, belong to no one nation, but should be shared by all. The redistribution of wealth, which has been in the process ongoing, but notice how this redistribution is not really going to the poor and being shared through the poor like they keep promising that it will be. There will be no nations under the category haves and others under the category opposite category. A fair and properly organized distribution of the wheat, oil, mineral wealth of the world will be developed based upon the needs of each nation, upon its own internal resources and the requirements of its people. All this will be worked out in relation to the whole. There's that whole again, not individual. Listen to this one. In number 9, in the preparatory period for the New World Order, there will be a steady and regulated disarmament. It will not be optional. No nation, oh wait, but I thought that you were gonna, respect the sovereign rights of each nation. As long as they're not violating the dictates of any of the dictates of the United Nations. Correct? It will not be optional. No nation will be permitted. Well, wow. To produce and organize any equipment for destructive purposes or to infringe the security of any other nation. One of the first tasks of any future peace conference will be to regulate this matter and gradually see to the disarming of the nations. And that's not just disarming of the armies and everything else, that's the disarming of you and me. Too, right? Only later on in this book somewhere, she talks about the weapons, the United Nations having the weapons. In case anyone wants to rebel against the United Nations, right? These are the simple general premises upon which the New World Order must begin its work. And there's a lot more. Again, these things have to be addressed because, again, if I just stopped at 7, the New World Order will not oppose a uniform type of government. It will not be a tyrannical government. We'll respect your rights. If I just stop there, you guys would be like, "We see, Ellen, lucis trust isn't a bad thing. She loves freedom." But I read at 9, this is how they write. You got to read the whole thing of their books and stuff like that. Otherwise, they do tend to write that stuff to, deceive the dupes. But let's take a look at education in the New Age. Listen to this on page 122 of Education in the New Age. In the coming world state, the individual citizen, gladly and deliberately, when with full consciousness of all that he is doing, will subordinate his personality to the good of the whole, the growth of organized brotherhoods and fraternities, of parties and groups dedicated to some cause or idea is another indication of the activity of the coming forces. And you can read that right here. So it'll be for the good of the whole. That's socialist language, collectivist language, some kind of big government system language. She talks about this. The Aquarian man will bring into manifestation great ideals because the channel of contacts between the soul and brain via the mind will be steadily established through right understanding, and the mind will be increasingly in its dual activity as the penetrator into the world of ideas and as the illuminator of life upon the physical plane. This will ultimately produce a synthesis of human endeavor and an expression of the truer values and of the spiritual realities dang it, where the heck? I swear sometimes I have moments where I'm like, what time is it here? Oh well. The mind will be used increasingly in its dual activity as the penetrator into the world of ideas and as the illuminator of life upon the physical plane. This will ultimately produce a synthesis of human endeavor and an expression of the truer values and of the spiritual realities such as the world has never yet seen. Such again is the goal of the education of the future. What is the synthesis which will later be thus produced? Permit me to list a few factors without elaboration. 1. The fusion of man's differentiated spiritual aspirations, as expressed today in many world religions, into the new world religion. Down here, read down here. So, caught that, the New World Religion, page 123. This new religion will take the form of a conscious, unified group approach to the world of spiritual values, evoking in its turn reciprocal action from those who are the citizens of that world, the planetary hierarchy, and affiliated groups. So, there's a lot of things that she writes, which obviously, you know. Oh, I guess I'll have to read some more of these. Page 102. Little by little, this disastrous state of affairs has been slowly changing, so that today in many countries the welfare of the state itself, the good of the empire, the need of the nation, is held before the child from its earliest years as the highest possible ideal. He is taught that he must serve the state, empire, or nation with the very best that is in him. It is strongly inculcated into his consciousness that his individual life must be subordinated to the greater life of the state or nation, and that's what she really means by subordinate the individual to the group, to the whole. And that it is his duty to meet the national need even at the expense of life itself. He is taught that in times of great emergency, he as an individual does not count at all, but that the larger corporate whole, of which he is an infinitesimal part, is the sole factor that matters. Listen to this. This is the definite step forward in the expansion of consciousness which the race must achieve, human race must achieve. And there is a whole bunch of shit. Just down here. This quote right here, you can read that. And then oh, this is very good. I put that because it's like, gosh damn, you know, again. Pause that and read that. Democracy, totalitarian, or communistic, these ideologies are materializing dreams or visions. For these, modern youth is taught that he must work and strive, if necessary, fight. It is therefore surely apparent that behind all the surface turmoil and chaos so devastatingly present today, in the consciousness of humanity, and behind all the fear and apprehension, the hate and separativeness, human beings are beginning to blend in themselves three states of consciousness that of the individual, citizen, and of the idealist. The power to achieve this and to be all these states simultaneously is now reaching down into those levels of human life which we call submerged classes. All this is very good and part of the ordained plan. Whether it is the democratic ideal or the vision of the totalitarian state or the dream of the communistic devotee, the effect upon the consciousness of humanity as a whole is definitely good. His sense of world awareness is definitely growing. Like I said, all this revolutions, the different systems of government that they created are part of that Hegelian dialect experiment of theirs to create their synthesis of course, their synthesis, is in the end some kind of totalitarian socialism. Okay. Finally, this is page 89. Wow, there's a lot of stuff I need to read out of this one. Like I said, I haven't really got into these books for a very long time. I just marked them and knew that after reading these that, yeah, this is this is an Illuminati organization. Just, Yeah. Finally, the time will come under these conditions when in late adolescence a crisis needed and planned is precipitated in the young person's life, and he will then stabilize himself in the particular manner in which destiny ordains that he shall fulfill his task of right relationship through the means of vocational service. It is bridging work which has now to be done, bridging between what is today and what can be done in the future. If during the next 150 years we develop this technique of bridging the many cleavages found in the human family, and in offsetting the racial hatreds and the separative attitudes of nations and people, we shall have succeeded in implementing a world in which war will be impossible and humanity will be realizing itself as one human family and not as a fighting aggregate of many nations and people, competitively engaged in getting the best of each other and successfully fostering prejudices and hatred. This has, as we have seen, been the history of the past. Man has been developed from an isolated animal, prompted only by the instincts of self-preservation, eating and mating, through the stages of family life, tribal life, and national life, to the point where today a still broader ideal is grasped by him, international unity, or the smooth functioning of the one humanity. This growing idealism is fighting its way into the forefront of the human consciousness in spite of all separative enmities. It is largely responsible for the present chaos and for the banding together of the United Nations. It has produced the conflicting ideologies which are seeking world expression. It has produced the dramatic emergence of national saviors, so-called, world prophets and world workers, idealists, opportunists, dictators, investigators, and humanitarians. These conflicting idealisms are a wholesome sign, whether we agree with them or not. They are definitely exploiting the human demand, urgent and right, for better conditions, for more light and understanding, for greater cooperation, for security and peace and plenty in the place of terror, fear, and starvation. Again, you have that masses again. Masses word. I believe it's right here. And to top it off with this book, and like I said, this won't be the last book, but check this out on page 59 of Education in the New Age. It will be apparent to you also that the task of the new education is to take the civilized masses, that's us, that's all they look at us, and lead them on to the point where they are cultured, socially engineered, in other words, propagandized, and to take likewise the cultured people and train them in the ways of the you-know-who, the Illuminati. Eventually it will be found that what is now taught in the schools of the esotericists or occultists will be part of the acknowledged curriculum imposed upon the rising generation. that one, right? Yep. Read that first paragraph there, marked, and Illuminati. Not a conspiracy theory. Propagandizing the masses, socially engineering them and programming them to think in the same ways that the Illuminati do. Well, that's been going on for a long, long time now. So, the reappearance of the Christ has one. Try to find it and hurry up if I can't. It's alright. Again, it's nothing but New World Order. That's all you find in these books. Though they tell you that, some people will tell you that this group is just not a big deal group. They just, blah, 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 blah. And they just, just sit around and talk about love and, they're not the Illuminati. They're not getting into our politics or infiltrated our systems of government and stuff like that, trying to bring in a new world order. No, they're not doing that. They're just peace-loving. He has a quote in here somewhere if I can find it. Something I wanted to read that just came to my mind. Okay. Have some time here. Revelation of the Mysteries of Initiation. This is page 120 of the Reappearance of the Christ. Much that is here written and which is conveyed in these pages is in reality concerned with the appearance of the kingdom of God, an appearance which can now take place because of three factors. 1. The growth of that kingdom on earth and the thousands of people who recognize its laws and endeavor to live in accordance with its rules of spirit. Hang on. Dang, I'm thirsty. Hang on. Two, the fact that the signs of the time and the widespread need of humanity have evoked the Christ and that he has decided to reappear. Their Christ. 3, the evocative cry of humanity is ascending hourly to the secret place of the Most High, and the hierarchy plans to emerge when Christ appears and restores the rule of the Spirit on earth. The hour for the restoration of the ancient mysteries has arrived. See, not the restoration of Judaism or Islamic or Christian, but the ancient mystery schools. Just to correct some people who thinks it's just a Jewish thing, which I'm not denying there isn't a Jewish element, wanting to bring about their New World Order, but there's also a Muslim element too, so. But, the people that we're focusing on, the people that want to bring about the New World Order, they, she writes an externalization of the hierarchy of getting rid of Judaism, Orthodox Judaism. That'll be one of the religions to get rid of, in the New World religion. These facts have been widely given out during the past 2 years as the result of the cleansing of the earth through the medium of the World War, 1914 and 1945, and through the suffering to which humanity has been subjected, with an equally potent purifying effect, which we'll demonstrate later. You see, this is how they think. They think that the end justifies the means. Yes, it's terrible, but it needs to be done if we are to, convince humanity that we need them to control our lives in a new world order. You have to break a few eggs to make that omelet, right? It will then be possible for the hierarchy, the Church of Christ Invisible, to externalize itself, in other words, the Illuminati. Or if you're one of those people, I've heard that people who believe in the aliens thing, they believe that this is who they're writing about too, is all the ancient scriptures wrote about, that the gods came down and gave man civilization, they're going to come back, whatever. Ancient aliens pushes that. Anyways, the hierarchy will function openly upon the physical plane. This will indicate a return to the situation which existed in Atlantean days, when, to use biblical symbology, Genesis chapters 2 and 3, God himself walked among men. He talked with them, and there was no barrier between the kingdom of men and the kingdom of God. Divinity was then present in physical form, and the members of the spiritual hierarchy were openly guiding and directing the affairs of humanity as far as man's innate freedom permitted. Now in the immediate future, and on a higher turn of the spiral of life, this will again happen. The masters will walk openly among men. The Christ will reappear in physical presence. Another thing that will happen will be that the ancient mysteries will be restored. The ancient landmarks will again be recognized. Those landmarks which Masonry has so earnestly preserved and which have been securely embalmed in the Masonic rituals waiting the day of restoration and of resurrection. These ancient mysteries were originally given to humanity by the hierarchy and contain the entire clue to the evolutionary process. Hidden in numbers and ritual and words and in symbology, these veil the secret of man's origin and destiny, picturing to him in rite and ritual the long path which he must tread back into the light. They provide also the teaching which humanity needs in order to pass from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real, and from death to immortality. Any true Mason who understands, even if only to a slight degree, the significance of the 3 degrees of the Blue Lodge and the implications of that in which he participates will recognize the above 3 phases for what they are, and will recognize the significance of the 3 degrees. I mention it here with Masonic purpose, because it is closely related to the restoration of the mysteries and has held the clue down the ages to that long-awaited restoration, to the platform upon which the required teaching can be based in the structure which can express, when freed of its Jewish names, and nomenclature, which are long out of date, though right 3,000 years ago, the history of man's moving forward upon the path of return. It is these mysteries which Christ will restore upon his reappearance, thus reviving the churches in a new form, restoring the hidden mystery which they long have lost through their materialism. Masonry has also lost the true livingness it once possessed, but in its forms and rituals the truth is preserved and can be recovered. This Christ will do, their fake Messiah, frontman. He will also revive these mysteries in other ways. Not all will seek the church or Masonry for the revitalizing of their spiritual life. The true mysteries will also reveal themselves through science, and the incentive to search for them there will be given by the Christ. The mysteries contained within their formulas and teachings, the key to the science which will unlock the mystery of electricity, the greatest spiritual science and area of divine knowledge in the world, the fringes of which have only just been touched. Only when the hierarchy is presently visible on earth, and the mysteries of which the disciples of the Christ or the custodians are given openly to the world, will the true secret and nature of electrical phenomena be revealed. So this goes on a little bit. She goes on in page 124. The ground is being prepared at this time for the great restoration which the Christ will engineer. The world religions, including Christianity and Masonry, are today before the judgment seat of humanity's critical mind. And she also said through the externalization of the hierarchy, that is through the modern church and through Masonry that the mysteries will be restored to outer expression. But anyways, yeah, running out of time a little bit. But, yeah. It's just something else. Something else when you're all alone in this research and everything, but it is the way it is. So, yep, recommend you read these books online, at least to understand some of the enemy and their agendas. But yeah, it's kind of discouraging sometimes when you try to tell people about this, but yep, I think it's about it. Take care. Have a good night.